and I couldn't understand if the guitar was tuned or not.
All right.
It was scary. And along the way, I had passed some other medical tests, checkups, and then I discovered that I have some problems with some, I don't know how is it in English, so
Try to explain it.
Which is in the throat, like here, like we call it. I don't know. I'm not very good with medical vocabulary.
Well, maybe I wouldn't know either. Okay, so it's almost 5. Oh no, it's like 3 minutes before 5. Let's wait a bit longer. I see Irina has joined, and the recording is already started. So we are all online. Yeah. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy.
Thank you, you too.
I'll just send a text message to everybody that we have started.
What I've noticed, I've held several meetings like that in real life, and some online events. I noticed that people are usually not very comfortable to speak English if they don't live abroad, and they kind of know it, and I had to force my friends to come to such meetings because I know they can speak and they can understand, but they are not comfortable. They are afraid that they will forget something. And on the other hand, I've met a guy who didn't know English almost at all, just like, I don't know, like elementary level or even below elementary. So, but he was so comfortable. He switched to Russian every time when he didn't know the word, and he wasn't self-conscious about it at all. So people differ, but most of my friends, they are shy. That's interesting because not all of them look shy, but
yeah, isn't it what is called barrier language barrier? When people
maybe.
And I can tell you more than that. Even those who live abroad, they still have this thing. They are afraid to talk. It's a thing which you have to overcome. At some point, you just talk, and you don't care about if it's wrong, if people understand you or not. The best way to overcome it is just start talking, speaking, practicing.
When you need something and you don't have any other choice, then it's a good motivation.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that people don't feel shy or uncomfortable. It's just like we really don't have choice here. Either you talk or nobody understands you.
How does it feel to be a foreigner, by the way?
It feels like I'm a foreigner. All right, let's start then. We've been just talking to Alexander just now while we were waiting for everybody else to connect. So I assume we can plan this meeting in a way that everybody kind of has their time to talk, introduce themselves, maybe tell us what are your expectations from this Viber chat or from these meetings. How did you learn English? What helped you? Or whatever you wish to talk about. The thing is really to talk about anything. Well, I can start. For those who don't know, my name is Elena. So I live in England. I live in London, and it's been how much? More than 6 years now since I moved to London. So again, I want to say straight away, I'm not an English teacher. I speak English because I need to, because I have to. And as I said, I make mistakes. My English is not perfect. So yeah, but I can understand well, I can read, I can communicate well, I have no problems with that at all living here. Yeah, maybe very quickly just name yourself, and so that we can have a feel about you guys. Irina, do you want to continue? Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Don't know. I need to think what I need to tell before I start.
Okay.
Okay, let's let it be me.
Yeah, go on.
Ever since I was a kid, I liked English. That's why I chose to be a translator, a kind of an interpreter. I learned linguistics at a local university, and I wanted to speak English so much that I tried to disturb everyone who spoke it. At the moment, I'm kind of satisfied that I've talked to many people, but I still like to speak English anyway. But what I noticed, my grammar isn't perfect either, and the less I talk, the more mistakes I make. I need practice, and the more we meet, the better it will be for me, because when you speak with people who have a decent level of English, it improves, it helps you to maintain your level of speaking, because the majority of my students, they are elementary level students, elementary or pre-intermediate, and it's not a free speech. We are learning grammar, and free talking is something that I like very much. That's why I couldn't miss this meeting.
Yeah,
thank you.
So, sorry, remind me please, where are you from? Where do you live in Russia?
I live in Russia. I've been living in Russia since childhood. I've never been abroad, but I want to, but it doesn't happen somehow. So, yes, I studied English watching movies and learning at a local university, which is quite small, very little, tiny university. And I acquired the accent, if I have or not, some sort of, from watching movies a lot, because I liked it very much. And the city is very small. It's a village.
What part of Russia it is? Where is it?
It is the southern part of Russia, not far away from Rostov-on-Don.
Okay. I'm also from south of Russia, a bit further down south than you are. I'm from Caucasus region. So my parents still live there, and I go home like once a year at least. Yeah, so we're almost neighbors. That's
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't tell how did I start learning English. Basically, I am also from a very, very small village in south of Russia. It's Kabardino-Balkaria Republic, if you ever heard of it. But I went to a very good school, and it was the best school we had in our small town. And in that school, we like these pupils, they start to learn English at second grade, and we had like 5 lessons a week of English, which is quite a lot. And I know like that most of the people, at least in my time, they used to start learning English when they were in the 5th grade or so, and it was just a couple of hours a week, so not that intensive as what I had. But I'm an engineer. I studied geology and geophysics in Moscow, so I'm completely technical-minded person. So languages isn't my how you call it, not my strength really, even though I had a very good kind of background from school. Yeah, so in my last 2 years at school, like the 10th and 11th grade, I was concentrating more on physics, mathematics, and stuff like that, and I completely forgot about English. And later in the university, when I first started my my placement to write my diploma project after I finished my bachelor degree. I had a placement in an international company, and my boss was English, so I had to kind of remember everything I knew like 10 years ago, and prepare for interviews and prepare for my diploma project and stuff like that. So little by little, I started to recall the knowledge I had. Yeah, and since then I moved to England and like kind of was rolling on. Another thing which I wanted to point out, it's good, guys, that we talk between ourselves, because it's much easier to talk English if your English isn't very, very good for the time being, to talk English with people for whom English is also a foreign language, so that you can understand, well, at least you don't have problems with the listening, if you see what I mean. Okay, so if anybody else wants to introduce themselves, go ahead. Yeah, Marina, we can hear you.
Elena, how? I can only talk, it's all, yeah?
Yeah, go on.
Everybody, hello, and Happy New Year again. And I'm Marina. I'm 46 years old, and I'm living in Moscow. Basically, I'm from time to time I move from Moscow to Ulyanovsk, where is my parents live, and sometimes I'm abroad and everywhere. And I studied English myself after when I graduated Riga's Latvian Aviation University. And after university, I came to office, and suddenly I understood I need English. And it was a disaster for me because I didn't know any words from English. And I study every day I tried and ask. Of course, it's English not perfect, but for me it's enough. Somebody understand, and I stopped to think about pronunciation and such things. And I was worked. I worked in London 3 months. We worked in Stansted Airport, which I wrote before. Maybe you know this company, Volga-Dnepr Airlines. It's cargo airlines company, which operated on Antonov 104. And after I worked for Airbridge Cargo, it's a daughter company, and we operated already on Boeing 747. And I was responsible for marketing department, for marketing, and I worked for marketing. And my experience in this aviation industry, 25 years, minus in between 5 years I was pregnant, and sometimes on maternity. How you say it me? Not
maternity leave.
Leave, yes, exactly. And we crossed with my husband in Krasnoyarsk airport, which I came for investigation airport, and he was from west. We crossed in Krasnoyarsk airport, and he was an aviation guy as well. And my big love to aviation started to be more because he bring for me some knowledges about aviation and time as well. And we have 5 children, and what else? It's mixed. What else? Now I decided to study German because I feel it's really necessary for me. Because my first language was German, and I forgot totally. And now I a little bit reborn. I'm step by step a little bit refresh my second language. And I'm very happy to join this group together, or VMESTE.
Yeah.
And well, new something new project, and something again I remember my student life. I would say a lot of young people around, again ambitions, and again something I like it very much.
Great, thank you, Marina. And so can you all understand what we are talking about? Or have you got any problems? Or are you just shy to start talking? What is the feeling?
I think you should call everyone, like, directly.
Well, I'm not a teacher here, so that like, okay, let's
Yeah,
start.
manager now.
All right. Well, I won't force anyone. Please feel free to start when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I really be shy because sometimes I speak with other people in speaking clubs, but I usually need to hear what some other people speak because I don't know what I can add. Maybe okay, I can tell something about myself. I started learning English till I was a baby, till children garden, and I learned at school where was a bilingual teaching system, and we had 3 foreign languages: English, German, and French. And I can say that I learned English above maybe more than 15 years, but at school I didn't like English because I had a really bully teacher, which made me some harm because she made some violence, and I really don't want to remember that this episode of my life. But really, at the last years in school, I really hated English at all, and I really liked German. And of course, I had a lot of trips to some cities abroad, and I had to speak English, of course. But if I could speak German, it was a bit better for me because really uh, I had some maybe prejudice about English at all. But when I finished the university, I realized that I need to become a friend with English because I need to start my new education abroad, maybe in America, in United States, and that's why I need to cancel my blog system on English because really I had a nice, I think, level of English, and my teacher Gary, who is from UK, from Wales, he said that I'm okay, but I need to speak more and have a lot of training uh, for this canceling program in my brain because really I'm a bit afraid because because I had so bad, I think, episodes of my life. But now I think I'm okay, and when I travel to some other countries, I usually speak English, and it's okay for me, and everybody understands me really well, I think. And I think it's okay. And of course, I'm glad to see you, all of you. And I would like that we'll have a lot of our meetings and our own speaking club, because I think when I see someone who I really know, I really know, I can speak a bit easier and free. So thank you a lot.
Well, I must say you have a very good English and with a very good vocabulary as well. It's like you use the words which you don't usually hear from people like with who say okay English. So it's more than okay, I think, from my
I
point.
can agree. Yes, the vocabulary is nice, and it reminded me my story with German, because when I was at university, my second language was German, and the teacher was really mean. Really, maybe not mean, but she didn't understand how I felt, and she spoke like, "Oh, everybody should know that. How can you not know that?" And I felt like I was pushed down the ground. So and still, after I graduated, then I started to like German. But while I was studying, I hated it with all the fibers of my being. But now I think that even in German and many other languages are nice, but the teacher really can influence how you feel about the language, and the teacher can really create an obstacle. So I can agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me that at the university we also had English, but it was technical English, so geology and geophysical terms like scientific papers and articles which we had to read and translate, and basically oil and gas vocabulary to learn. And because at the time I already started to work in this international company, I used English in my daily life. So I felt like I'm very good, like I can speak English so well. And she absolutely hated me for that. She always loved to point out to all the mistakes I make, to my pronunciation, which was horrible. Yeah, but yeah, screw her, I didn't care.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it was already in my in my adult life, if you can say so. It was more important for me to talk English than worry about her. So I see Alessia has joined us. Hi, Alessia. Very nice to see you finally. We can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Unmute your.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, how are you? Sorry, late. I have had a meeting with my boss, and so I cannot just say I'm sorry. I have like an English group. May I go? That's why I'm late. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the question was.
So you can just tell about yourself a little bit. Where do you live? How did you learn English? What is your expectations from these meetings, from this Viber chat, things like that.
Okay, as I said, I'm living in Germany and I have like two languages, English and German, and I studied English first in Russia. I come from Russia. And I studied it in a university. It was a language faculty. It was a language, let's say, in fact, language faculty. And I had, like, German was also my second language and English was my first language. And I tried my best to study it. I really read very difficult books and I really tried to learn as many words as possible. And now I went to Germany after the university, where I also studied German. But also I have studied here like economics and so on in the university in Germany. And many subjects were taught in English. also many scientific papers. Everything is basically in English. And through this, I have like learned it, but I cannot like speak well. I cannot communicate freely. I can only like read some literature, write an email. But this is what I would like to have, like, is to communicate, to be able to communicate, and listening and speaking. Yes.
Okay, it looks like we can start a German-speaking club as well. We have already 3 people who can speak German. I cannot. Or 4 people, and like Marina wants to study. To learn German.
Alicia, where you live now in Germany?
Munich.
Munich. It's Bavaria. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is. I know you have mother-in-law who lives in Germany, right?
She is from Frankfurt. Yes.
Oh, Frankfurt.
My husband, he's German guy. German, and but we speak in between us. We speak English. We started with English, and we cannot turn to German.
And how about your kids? Do they speak Russian, English, German? So they're like.
When my mom-in-law comes, we try to speak German. We made like we try it, but normally we talk Russian, and children try to talk English.
But are they fluent in all 3 languages now, or it doesn't, like, since they have Russian mother?
I decided to concentrate first for Russian, and after, when we would be much better with one language, with native language. Next step English, next step German, and plus Chinese. I think Chinese would be good as well.
Because now here in London we have opposite problem. Even though you have a Russian dad, a Russian mom, and kids who were born or came to England at a very early age, they cannot speak Russian or they don't want to. And it's so funny to hear like these little kids, they all have such a beautiful English accents, and they even correct their parents and stuff like that. It's really funny, I find. And yeah, they try to force them to speak Russian, and which isn't always possible.
For me always was important not to know all the languages. For me, more important, when you love Russian, you have to more deep in Russian. This merchant, I remember this German word. Fairy tale, yeah? Fairy tale.
Märchen, yeah.
Yeah. Und don't do it German.
Alicia, may I ask you a question? Can you say something in German language, something beautiful?
Just ask me?
Yes.
Hallo, wie geht's dir?
What's mean it?
How are you?
Ja.
Understand. Okay.
Ich kann auch nur sagen, ich liebe H.P. Baxter oder so.
Thank you.
Also a German guy. You have understood, like, yeah. Who also speaks German? Alexander? Irina.
No, I don't. I've studied it at the university, but now I've almost forgot everything. It would be fun for me to attend the meetings if people spoke German, but my level is the elementary level, like very basic one at the moment. Mm-hmm. So it would be just fun for me, but I wouldn't say that I can speak German.
It's difficult. It's very difficult.
I worked in Austria in Potsendorf, Landeck, and of course I speak German as well. Yes, because I was vet and helped other vets there. We worked together and saved a lot of animals.
Okay. So that's interesting what Alessia you said about that you want to practice the communicational part of English more, because I was basically the same. When I came here, I could I could do my job, I could work in English, but it was really difficult for me to socialize with people. Especially, you know, like here we have these traditions, like after work, 5 o'clock, everybody goes to the pub, it's super loud, drunk English people trying to talk to you, and I was so lost, and it was really difficult. Yeah. So it is really very different when you work in English and when you actually try to, I don't know, communicate in English, like this social vocabulary is very different. You can't always understand or maintain a conversation.
Yes. Also acoustically, you can like hear some words and maybe you can read them and you understand, but if they are like pronounced, it's difficult sometimes, really. So it's difficult to communicate in a language. It was also the same with German. I studied it in Russia 2 years, like best books and best teachers. We had everything. But I came here and I only could say like Mama Brot and nothing else. The same with you, Arina, right?
You know, when I firstly came to Germany, I was like a baby. What happened? Oh, I don't know how to say this, and this. In supermarkets, you really like some dumb or off because you don't know what to do. Can I buy this? How to say anything? And some customers looks at you, huh? And you really more than embraced. Embarrassed, yes. Sorry.
And most likely, if you like try to say something in German, you only remember the English word. Did you have it also, Arina?
Yes, and I fluctuated every, I don't know, every minute, because I think what I need to say in German and what I know in English and how it should be in Russian, and this is like mixture, and I don't know what I need to choose at this moment.
It's like in our family. We use all three languages, and for my husband, for example, can say, I go to a shop and I взял коляска, and I go and continue.
Und kaufen.
Three languages we use. And once when it was my first trip to London, I have to work there 3 months, and they said me I have to make an organized meeting, sales meeting and marketing. And I was really in stress. I study, I listen. I was really concentrate on language. And when I flew in airplane, it was one guy with me. He was besides me, sit and always look at me. And he saw how I was nervous. And he said, you fly to business trip? I said, yeah, don't interrupt me. I'm continue to make dialogues and so on. And he said, but stop it. Like you, but now you know some language. And it would be enough to talk with somebody in London. And close all your books and try to explain simply, just simply like you think. And after, when you will understand, they understand you more and practical. And you know, all people, English people, they already really play off about pronunciations. Everybody talk not good with language. And please, and when I came, it was taxi driver. He met me, and suddenly I understood. I can talk fluently with him. understand me. We came to office, I organized meeting, and it was really, after, I was really relaxed. And from that time, for me, it was, no, I forgot how your things. Oh, Marina came to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Marina from States has joined us. We also have silent Marina, another Marina, Tatiana,
I'm sorry,
and
I'm
Diana. So Veronica, maybe you can tell us something about yourself.
Okay. I don't speak English very well, but I can say about me a little. Let me let me introduce myself. My name is Veronica. I'm 31 years old. I'm living in Chita. It's a region of the southwestern Siberia in Zabaikalia. My profession is a teacher of music. I am used to work in a musical school, but now I'm a housewife. I'm bringing up two children. My oldest son is 5 years old and he goes to kindergarten, and my youngest daughter is 2 years old. Nearly, she's a very kind, beautiful and pretty girl. She very loves her mother. Now we are okay.
Your English very good.
I forget it. In New Year's holiday, we are walking, reading, cooking, have fun, play toys and others. And now we are preparing to the birthday of my son. He was born in Christmas Day, and now I want to decorate my apartment to his birthday. I prepare a cake and a gift for him. I want to invite the guests and go to celebrate in the Children Entertainment Center. Okay, I want to continue learn English language because I think it can be useful for me in my community with people, in my work, and maybe in my traveling in future.
Very good.
Veronica had a great preparation before our meeting.
Thanks.
It's a nice idea to have some notes.
Marina's here. How do you pronounce your name in Russian? Marina.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking something and my mic wasn't on. I wanted to say, Veronica, very well done. Like you can see that you have prepared. And I think your English is very good as well. You just need to practice and build up on it. Thank you.
I think the Marina who is from the United States, she should mute her microphone for a moment. Something going on,
Yep.
and we can hear that, which is fun to listen to, but
yeah.
We have some interesting journey with Marina.
background noise.
Well,
All right. Who is
it
next?
must be middle of the day for her, that's why. Yeah, so we have Olga, which has just joined us, and Uliana sitting there. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everybody. So I'm Uliana. I'm from Ulyanovsk. Marina said that her parents live in Ulyanovsk.
Now I'm in Ulyanovsk.
And really?
And I was born in Ulyanovsk.
Oh,
My grandfather lives.
Next stage. First we know German and after Ulyanovsk.
I'm sorry for silly question. Where is it?
Olga.
Volga. Okay.
Volga River, yes.
I also don't know.
It's the middle of the European part of Russia, not far away from Samara, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's Samarskaya Oblast.
Yes, and I live near Volga-Dnepr. My flat is near Volga-Dnepr company. So, but my motherland is Sverdlovsk region, very small town in the north of this region. It's Severouralsk, but more than 10 years I live in Ulyanovsk here. So I learned English at school, at university. I had an advanced level, but I forgot much. But I hope that I improve my level and start to read books, some courses. But I don't have a plan now when, but in the nearest future. What is it, Psyche?
This is book in English, History of Loneliness.
Oh, nice
Yep.
book.
Nice.
A very nice topic, loneliness.
Yes.
So I am working for international company. It's Hempel company, which produced paint. I use English in my work, but not much. Usually it's writing or discuss something with my boss sometimes, but he knows Russian, so usually we speak in Russia. So I want to say also thank you to everybody because we have the nice opportunity to improve our skills, knowledge, and have something like a speaking club. Thank you.
So what is your profession?
I'm a production planner. So I create the plan for production, what paint produce, when produce, for what customer.
So what did you study? Was it marketing, finance, or?
I have two higher education. It's economics and management.
And management. Okay.
Yes.
And how did you acquire your advanced level of English? You took extra classes, or your teacher of English was so good that I don't meet many people who speak advanced level.
Now I don't speak advanced level, but so when I was at school, I have a tutor, so a special teacher, additional classes after school. When I was at university, I went to special language school.
Okay.
And did you try to take some exams to prove your English? Some TOEFL?
No, I'm going to do it, but no, I don't have any certificates.
Arina, and how about you? Do you need that if you want to study in US? As you
Yes, of course. I'll have my exam in the 3rd of March. It's
one?
really. Sorry, what?
Which one? What kind of exam?
IELTS. I'll have it soon, and I hope I'll have a high mark.
Which level do you need? What level do you need?
They said that above 6, maybe 6.5, but I would like to have more than 7, maybe 7.5, maybe higher. I don't know. It's like some fortune, because if I'll have a good topic about nature and something like this, of course I'll have a higher mark. But if I'll have some I think difficult topic like politics or history, it's really hard to me, and so I think I'll have mark a bit lower than I could have.
And the maximum for IELTS is 8, if I remember correctly? Or?
No. The maximum is 10 points.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to have 8. mm, maybe.
Arina, why English test? Are you going to study somewhere in the United States or abroad?
Yes, New York Film Academy.
Ah, great. So you have to like this is one of the requirements.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Great. Good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you will get a topic about animals. So
I hope, really. But I think it's will be so easy as it should be if I'll have a topic about art as well.
great.
So
But
have you already chosen, so you know exactly where you want to study?
yes, now yes, because I watched some study program, and I would like to have a screenwriter course in this university. This is the best one, the best university about cinema production. And oh, sorry, yes.
And is it easy enough to apply for United States visa? So the process, if you admit it,
Yes,
I assume there's no problem, is it?
yes.
Okay. Interesting. Good luck.
Thank you.
I have a topic. I think maybe everyone could share their plans concerning English for the year, because we've got the new year, which would
It's
be
like
a nice
New
idea.
Year resolutions for English.
Yeah, I don't like those, but but it might be a nice idea. Like, what strengths and weaknesses we consider that we have, and does anybody want to improve or to learn anything new?
Yeah. Well, I don't have any particular goals, but I've always wanted, you know, since I came here, I've always wanted to go and do some course and to improve, first of all, my pronunciation. I really like this very beautiful Southern English accent. And yeah, basically, I would like to get rid of my Russian accent. And I know there are like few months courses which you can take, and yeah, it's kind of easy enough, maybe a bit expensive, but I've always wanted to do that and never done. And don't think I will do it this year either, because it's not on my top priority list, at least for now. Yeah, so no English goals for me. Maybe get an English boyfriend to improve my English.
It would be a nice idea. But I listen to you carefully, and I don't notice any Russian sounds like this, like something, nothing like that. You don't sound like a native English speaker, but no Russian accent whatsoever. Anyway, in my opinion.
Okay, maybe.
White Russian. You're from White Russia, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, for me, I should improve my grammar, because I don't need it actually too much, because as I told you before, my students, they are elementary, pre-intermediate, and so I don't need this great level of grammar, but I want it for myself, because I want to go beyond this elementary level teaching, and because at the moment I take a lot of kids who are 10 years old, and it's just learning words and making funny pictures, like singing songs, and I want to have a little bit of a challenge to become better. And of course, when I learn, when everybody learns the grammar, the second step would be practicing speaking. So I would really enjoy, and I would really be really glad if we continued our meetings to talk as much as possible and apply in everyday life everything that we learn.
Okay, and well, I have another question, but we will come back to that after everybody tells what they think about your initial question. Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
So as for me, I don't have any particular plans also, but maybe I have a goal in the project VMESTE together that I have to give some lessons to my boyfriend just to improve my language, don't forget words and so on. But it's not my priority list now, English. But also I hope that in the nearest time I improve my pronunciation, grammar and so on, and will have the high level. Thank you.
Teaching is a very great way to learn grammar, because when some students come and they ask a very complicated question concerning grammar, and I think how to explain,
Mm-hmm.
then at this exact moment, then I start to understanding it better. Because before that, I kind of knew that, but I didn't actually understand it. So it's a great idea. Teaching is a very interesting thing.
Thank you also, yes, and explaining, finding something new during the teaching, yes, it helps really, because I start to prepare to the lessons and gave one lesson. So yes, I see that it's really help, and even me, I start to know new things. Yes, to learn something new in details and so on.
Do I understand you correctly, Uliana? You want to teach your boyfriend English, right?
Yes.
Russian?
Yes.
He speaks Russian and he wants to know more English, and you like teach him the language.
So he is Russian. I want to teach him English. Yes.
Okay, so why does he need this, for work or for traveling?
For traveling mostly, yes, and maybe a little bit for work, but he can write and understand texts, but speaking, listening is not good.
Mm-hmm. So is he also at VMESTE?
No.
Maybe he can join and speak.
Of course, I will tell him.
Interesting. We have like so many different goals and so many different like purposes for English. Like someone wants to study in America, someone just wants to improve and so on, to travel. Very different goals. It's interesting. As for me, probably I would like to have more knowledge about communication at work, because I have to write some emails sometimes in English, and my customers are American, so we talk to each other also sometimes, and I would probably need more like business English. And maybe we can like exchange some way in some like we can like speak about our work, so that we have like build up vocabulary, business vocabulary as well. Also maybe something like connected to traveling, because I love to travel, and I think that everybody likes to travel. Maybe we can like build up some vocabulary and some like listening skills and reading and speaking skills in those fields, like traveling, business. Yeah.
I think it would be a fine idea if we could share what we learned. For example, I learned any kind of new grammar, and then I come to the meeting and I say, okay, I learned this and it works like that. And you, if you learned some business English, you can do the same. Like I learned these new phrases and these new constructions which are appropriate for the business situations. And why not? It would be fun for us. I think business English is a very useful. For me, I don't use it much because it's different. I'm a teacher, so I'm just doing basics for the most part. But it would be useful for me too, because sometimes I have to translate business letters, business communications, and it doesn't come naturally to me because I don't do that much often.
Can I say? So I want to improve my English, and I were in the shop of the books, and I see exercise books for a fourth class to study English, and I want to buy these books, and I think why I need it, and I also study English in video maybe, or reading books, or maybe some exercise books.
I think a great way to learn English would be watching movies and TV shows in English. Even if you don't understand anything, it's still very useful, I find.
And listen.
Good idea.
I think that one should understand at least 50%. It would be the best way. So you shouldn't choose very complicated ones. Like my favorite TV sitcom is The Big Bang Theory. And the first time when I tried to watch it, I heard so many complicated phrases that it was kind of hard. And at the moment, I'm struggling with Sherlock. I don't watch this TV show much, but when I try to watch it in English, he speaks so fast and so much, and also very specific, complicated phrases that it's a challenge for me. On the other hand, at the moment, watching The Big Bang Theory is not a challenge. So, and my friend, he started to remember his English, like he studied it at the university. And then he decided to refresh his knowledge, and he watched Friends. And he said, Friends, the TV show, it's not a very hard to understand show that he recommends to everyone. And also there is this website, it's called, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot when I remember its name. So you can come there and you can choose a lot of different movies, and with subtitles, without subtitles, and you can learn. And it's very, very easy for learners to find the appropriate level of English while watching movies. I'll tell you later, I forgot the name of it, sorry.
Yes, I would agree. Like the #1 TV show for learning English is Friends. I've heard about it from so many people who said I've actually learned English just by watching Friends. The language is simple. Again, it's more like an urban language, easy to follow, and American English is quite easy there as well. But frankly, the Sherlock TV show, even when I watch it in Russian, sometimes it's hard to follow what he's saying. So no surprise there.
And when it comes to colloquial British English, I've tried to watch Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, and they've got all "Как деньги два ствола." It's a very, it's a criminal,
I've never seen it.
criminal comedy. It's for guys, I guess, and it's a lot of swearing. It's okay because swearing is the same, almost the same in America and Britain, but all the other words, like local colloquial phrases, like north of London, North Londoners, South Londoners, and they have the accent, and it would be understandable for a British guy or girl, but it's so hard to hear for me because I've never heard this kind of pronunciation. It was really interesting.
And I'm also a fan of Game of Thrones, and it's funny when you watch it in English because they kind of try to show this universe of Game of Thrones where like people comes from different nations, from different parts of their kingdoms, and they all have different accents in English. It's very funny to follow that. Like northern part, they have proper northerners accents. Not all of them, because not all actors are from northern parts, but it's very interesting there.
Yeah, and very useful when you see some Arabic guys, Indian guys, how different English can be. It's very nice. And what I like translate some songs. I printed song, try myself to translate and after check. That's very good improvement.
Yes, nice.
And for me, I would like to improve really business language, business English. And my husband sometimes asks me to prepare presentations. And what I understand, I need a little bit more business language.
Mm-hmm. In which field do you work? It's like accounting, finance? Is it like marketing?
I'm
presentations.
He is on aviation as well.
Aviation.
Sales, production, and how a lot of things in aviation. Sometimes need to make presentation for summit, for example. A lot of companies coming same time. For example, it was in Baku, a cargo summit, and you have to make presentation about future aviation industry, for example, or how you see improving this cargo service and so on and so on. Not different things. And here already specific. You have to know aviation first and second business, and very interesting.
And what about you? What are you working at? Also, are you also in?
I was worked in marketing, and now I stopped. In November, I already stopped to my career. No, stopped with my career, and because I cannot manage a big family and professional job. And now we decided I will from time to time help my husband. Mm-hmm. Sometimes make a presentation or like PA. And but aviation in my heart, yes, and I would like to continue partly.
Maybe after the kids grow up and will be like, how old are they? How many kids do you have?
No, 5, but today we discussed already in Viber. The oldest in 18, and after 9, 8, 6, 3, already forgot. Different stage, different age, different interesting. Mm. But now I really miss of business life, and I really would like to come back. Mm. Now more and more. It's the reason why I came to VMESTE, a little bit improve my knowledges everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And do you know when you are going to come back?
No, I think already I asked myself, I think I have to establish own company. I feel it already, because for me something enough to work in office, and I have to try to build up something myself. And improve, yes.
And linked with aviation as well, if you...
I think yes, as well. Aviation, maybe it would be like partly, like events, for example, because already you know a lot of people, and maybe it's just my ideas in my mind, but I have to improve. Maybe partly, yes. Now more and more somebody would interrupt me.
I think Veronica wanted to say something as well, no?
I want to say that about sing a song that I study in school. We are singing a song yesterday of Beatles, free of a lesson. Sing a song, sing a song, sing a song, and I'm that's about the study of English. To repeat the text, okay, it's a good idea.
You mean to learn the text of the song? Yes,
Yes.
it's a great thing. It's another thing why I wanted to learn English. I wanted three things when I started to learn it. I wanted to see movies in original because the translation at that moment, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the translation was awful. Like you remember all this production, these sounds, these very, very poor translations. And I wanted to understand what they were really speaking. And the second thing was I wanted to learn music and lyrics, the text of my favorite songs. After I could understand what people sing about, I regretted a little bit that because sometimes you shouldn't know what they are singing about if you like the song because sometimes the lyrics is poor. But for the major part, it was a great idea. And the third thing would be reading books. But I don't read books much somehow. But still, I watch movies and I listen to music, and it helps both, and it helps both learn and motivates you to learn something new. Because every new movie, and you can hear some new phrases because different screenwriters, different I don't know sets, and you hear different accents, and it's fun, I guess.
Yes, and so talking about our following meetings, how do you think we're going to go ahead with that? Are we going to set up a topic and discuss, or just meet at regular basis and blah blah about anything?
I think topic would be better. And by the way, I think that everybody, maybe we should pick one person to make a little bit of report what he learned. For example, next meeting, I make a report, I learn some grammar or some new phrases, and I present it to the group. And the next meeting, somebody else does that, not the whole thing for 1 hour, like just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, so we could learn a little bit. What do you think about this idea?
New phrases.
Maybe phrases, maybe grammar. For me, grammar is a little bit more important, but speaking of business English, for me it might be useful too. But my thing would be grammar. Your thing could be business English, for example. Phrases, words.
And because frankly, I don't quite understand what you mean when you talk, when you say business English. I mean, what is your goal really? Like, how to say? Yeah, what do you call business English? What is your expectations? What exactly do you want to learn there? Is it vocabulary? But what vocabulary? It's the same words. I don't get it.
In my opinion, if I heard the people correctly, because 3 of them, if not mistaken, they spoke about business English. It's the rules in general, how to communicate, because the rules are different, like how to form a letter, how to write a letter appropriately, for example, or any cliches which people might not know. So I think it's about this, if I understand it correctly. Because for me, it's not hard to translate a business letter, but when I try to remember how should I put it correctly so it would be polite and not disturb any rules, of, I don't know, of business speaking, something like that. Am I correct, or maybe I misunderstood something? Maybe I don't understand something now.
Because from what I understood, at least Alessia and Marina already work inside the international organization where you write emails, you write letters. I assume you already use business English there. I just don't get what else would you like. Because, for instance, we have salespeople. They can write very beautiful letters, but from my point of view, it's not about English, it's about their skills of how they can put on a paper their thoughts, how they can convince a client or whoever they send a letter to. So it kind of mix of both, if you see what I mean. Yeah, but it's just my feeling.
I think that you might be right. While I'm thinking, I actually don't know what is it, what is it going to be, but I know that there are courses which are called business English, and which means that there should be a particular vocabulary, a particular way of communicating, not the free speech as you think you say. It should be something structured, maybe something. I have no idea what is it like. I have just some thoughts about it, but.
Well, I think it's case dependent as well. And let's say if you want to rent an apartment and you have to negotiate the terms, or you want to buy a flat, whatever, it's still business English. You have to use, you have to be able to convince people to give you what you want using these business English phrases. So staying polite, but still persuasive. That's what I understand, at least from my point of view.
And let's not limit ourselves with just business or grammar, everything that might be linked with English, and new phrases. If somebody watches a movie, it's a very big source of new phrases that it's unlimited. Every time you can learn something new, like some new fact or the meaning of the word that is different now and it was different back then. So everything that we learned, we can bring it to the table and to say, okay, I learned this, and everybody could share. Maybe it could be fun for everybody, maybe just for those who don't know that, but why not to try?
Yeah, sure.
May I say something about business English? Because I work in finance and accounting and also tax and so on. And we have a customer who is speaking who is American, and every time I try to write an email, I think what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. And the reason why I made that face while you said something about business English classes is because business English classes, they teach you some basics which you can learn anywhere, but they do not teach you this what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, and it's culture. And I think this is as Lena said, it's both. You have cultural aspect here, you have human psychological aspect, and three aspects actually, and English, right?
Yeah,
so on.
To me, it's really not, maybe for Russian, for me, when I first time came into the UK, I realized that nobody will ever tell me directly what they want from me. They come and say could you, do you think you could do that? Or they ask a question, will you do that? Can you do that? And I was well, I guess I can. But it was they're not asking me to do that. They ask it like these ways around, and you don't understand what they mean, but this is mentality differences. And especially in England, they never say what they think. And these emails, it could be like that long email, and the meaning is just basically they want you to do that. But in between the words, there are so many things which just not needed there. It's so different. So it's really mentality difference.
I so don't like this when people jump and dance around the subject and they don't say what they really want. It really annoys me.
I really had problems with that, and we have few English guys, especially these old-fashioned, like old-age people from good backgrounds, from like upper class or middle class families. This is the way they talk, and they've been learning it from their childhood, and this is in their like culture. But it's interesting aspect, yes. And maybe we can talk about like case by case basis. Let's say, like maybe you, Alicia, have like a particular task to talk to a client, and maybe we can like do a bit of brainstorming how better to send a message you're trying to get across.
Sure. It would be really great.
Yeah, this would be really great, because sometimes I'd like sit and think hours, what should I write? It's like a simple thing. I want to ask something, but it's like, okay, will it be polite? Like, what will he think? And last time I was like thinking, shall I celebrate him? Like, shall I wish him Happy New Year, or is it like not appropriate? And it's really a funny thing, but sometimes it's like you shouldn't get too personal. And yeah,
I understand what you mean. I guess it's like just practice and experience you gain with time. I had a client once, and he used to put smiley faces into the emails. I was shocked, but he was from Japan or China, like also not English. But I was absolutely shocked. Even my boss doesn't put a smiley face, or like if it's work-related email, you don't do that. But still,
yeah,
okay.
so different. I think it's nice. It's really great to know how it's like in England or other countries, and especially if you like communicate in England on a daily basis, you know what to write and what they like don't like.
Yeah, I think I could dig up some interesting emails, like emails which I found which were useful for myself to learn something, to understand really. Like basically, once I came to a guy sitting next to me, and I showed him an email and asked him, "Can you please tell me what he wants from me?" Because it literally it was, I couldn't get like. Yeah.
By the way, do you have like some tips or maybe some advice how to like understand when people speak business English quite fluently? Because Marina told last time, like several minutes ago, that she was traveling to London and tried to speak English, and from some point it like went well, and previously she was like nervous. How can you like, is there any like hint how can you better understand what people are saying in English, because it's difficult for me personally? Do you know, guys, how to like understand better?
I don't know, it's like learning to read between the lines, really, sometimes, but I guess it's just practice.
I guess it's just practice too. I've never been in such situation. That's why I can't give any kind of advice. But I can imagine that the more you practice, the better you understand. First, you will fail, and then you will learn from the mistakes that you make. It's normal, I guess.
And you know,
practical. You cannot, yes.
Practice.
practice.
They all understand that English is not your native language, and they don't expect from you much. Like, as long as they can understand you. I understand your point. Obviously, it's nice to put yourself in a better spot while you can talk a good English.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. And once I remember in office when I study English, it was for me most afraid time when I have to talk by telephone with somebody, with our customer. Easy to talk direct, and when you talk by telephone, it's catastrophe. And I was waiting when everybody left the room, and I made some telephone number, and I tried to talk with customer. Part of I understand, but not. I only was oh yeah. And next step, again, noch einmal.
I don't know.
Next day, and after, when I started to be less and less afraid, when I just I came to another level, when I stopped to afraid, I just talk and try to understand. Again, I'm not understand. Again, understand. It's only practical, and I spent 2-3 months every day to talk by telephone. For me, it was more effort. I made some difficult situation, or for example, our top managers came, and I tried to jump and talk. Of course, it's more tougher, but I know I have to go through such toughest moment. And after lessons, less like this.
I wonder if it would be rude to ask the person, if you don't understand, to ask directly, excuse me, I don't see the point. What do you really want from me? Is it rude? What do you think?
In English, it would be considered very rude. Like, if you say directly, I don't understand you, can you please go to the point? This is
maybe then you can say like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't follow. Maybe we could see it from the other angle.
Yeah. I'll find there was an interesting picture about like English, what they say and what they mean. If you've seen it before, this is
different.
Speaking about Germans, by the way, are Germans different? Germans also require different treatment while you're talking to them, or they are more like Russians or more like British?
I would say this is like in the middle, because the Germans are more direct on the English, I think, but they are not like that direct as Russians, and they are all the time like polite, and they wish you like good evening, good day, and so on. And yeah, basically it's just like middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they are really, really polite, and they are like don't speak like about personal things at work, and they try not to like be loud, and yeah, it's like different culture. And they smile. They also smile, because in Russia, if you like smile, they don't trust you. But the Germans, they're like more smiley and more polite.
It is very normal here to talk to strangers. Like, you met someone in the lift and you can, oh, what a nice weather today. This small talk to strangers, very common. Everybody talks to each other, even they don't know each other. And at first for me it was like shocking, like, oh, what do they want from me? No, it's just a cultural thing. Okay, we have Tatiana, who never said a word. I don't know if she's listening to us.
Hello, Tatiana.
Hi.
And Marina, who also never said a word.
Marina has technical issues, maybe.
I think it's a different Marina, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so please, if you can hear us, don't feel shy. Just say hi, Happy New Year, and stuff like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm afraid I will have to go in 10 minutes or so, but you guys, if you want to carry on chatting, that's fine. Or if somebody else wants to tell something.
I have to go as well.
Yeah.
I think it should be better that we'll have other meetings soon, maybe with some topic and some second part about new phrases and grammar, like double, not lesson, double speech. No.
Yeah, shall we discuss that now? Let's say in a week time, in 2 weeks. What do you think?
No, I think it's 2 weeks better. No, it's my opinion.
Also 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Agreed. And about the topics, do you want to discuss it on Viber, or we can throw some ideas now?
Mm.
I think Alexandra can set up really interesting topic for us.
Can I? Well,
Or if
my favorite topic is hobbies and what people like to do, because I like to get to know people. So I would like to know more about everyone. That's why if you ask me what I prefer to know is, for example, I don't recall the name of Psyche. Is her name
Arina.
Arina. I'm particularly interested in her career choice and her background, because she wants to be a screenwriter or a director. Movies, it means that she's a creative person, and I'm interested how did she come up to this idea, and what does she do, and her hobbies and her views on life and education and everything. And because I consider myself a little bit of creative person too, and I'm interested in that. But my favorite topic in general is hobbies and the ways we enjoy what we do to enjoy. So this is what I like. And if you feel like speaking about that, it would be a pleasure.
Yeah, let's do that. And speaking of grammar, shall we throw in some grammar homework into it as well, or?
Let's discuss together. You might be a host and I might be a co-host. Maybe try to imply a little bit of a teaching to this little event. I think, yes, I think that there should be some rules and homework. I'm not sure if everybody will do homework, because it's an informal meeting.
Oh, it's like
but we could practice at the meeting to practice some new rules, like a little bit like a little exercise or something like that. It could be useful. What do people think? Like an exercise, like a new exercise for, I don't know, like articles. Is everybody okay with articles?
Articles, hate them.
I hate articles too. So something like that, like a rule and a simple exercise, why not?
Do you have some material about abstract notions and articles? Because I have like the difficulty whether I should like use a, the, or nothing.
It's very complicated. It cannot be learned in one set, because the basic rules are simple. Yeah. Like if it's something specific, we should use the. If it's something not specific, a common thing, we should use a. But there are so many other rules. For example, like there is a. It requires the article a if we speak about a singular, like there is a cup on the table, and there are many of those. So we won't jump at all the rules at once, but we could learn some. We could refresh some basics. How do we use articles, for example? Because when I speak English, I forget the articles quite often. It doesn't come natural for me. But when I can hear that when people make mistakes. So it's a complicated issue, and I don't like articles too. But you, as you speak German, you should know that it's quite similar to German. But in German, you have endings and inflections, which is a little bit different, but the basic meaning is the same, like particular thing or in particular thing.
Sasha, can you recommend any internet resource or something like where is better to read about those things, or maybe books, or we are free to use anything?
Well, I use Galicinsky grammar to do the exercises. It's the book, Russian book in English. Particular web resources, I usually Google when I have a question, and I find several sources, and then I compare. If I have some questions and I'm not sure about it, like there is a big informal vocabulary called reversal. You can find their phrases and the examples of the use of those phrases. Speaking about grammar, I don't think that you have to spend a lot of time looking for the rules. It's all over the internet. So this is not the problem. The problem is to see it in everyday life. So you search for the phrase and you find it, and then you see how it's used in the text. That is what's useful for me. Did I answer the question?
Yes, yes.
Any grammar book would be good, like Macmillan Grammar. It's a very famous. It's a great book. Murphy. Yeah. Murphy is a great book, and it's a play when you just learn the rule. The grammar requires doing the exercises, because if you don't do the exercises, you don't practice and you forget. And then you come to our English speaking club, and then you practice in kind of an everyday life in speaking, and then you do the exercises again. This what helps me, and I hope it will help you.
Yeah, thank you. I was just writing down everything you said.
Thank you.
And find, please, Alexander, your website where you can different pronunciation you mentioned.
I'll send the link to the group. I just forgot the name. It so happens. It's either Ingvaleo or Puzzle English. I don't remember where did I see this. A very big list of movies, just a lot of them.
With subtitles, you mean?
Yeah.
Puzzle English. Do you need some special software to use those subtitles? Because I tried one site with subtitles and I had to download something and it just didn't go well.
No, what I saw, it was just you log in, and you can, I think you have to pay, if I'm not mistaken. And there is a big set of vocabulary of the words that you learn. It's the tool for learning new words. And there are topics and movies, and all you need is your browser. I don't remember that No, I didn't install anything.
Okay.
What's the site?
If I'm not mistaken, it's Lingualeo, but I'll check it. I'll check it because I don't use it much. My friend does, and she uses it well when she teaches kids, and I don't. So, so it just came up to me that it might be useful in this particular situation. I think this would be it for today.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Great. Yeah, shall we call it?
First appearance, yes.
Can I have one more question, please? If I have some like issues with English, is that all right if I write it in the chat and ask if this? Thank you.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Then.
Yeah, I possibly could help with what kind of words people use and phrases, because I do hear it a lot. But grammar, let's leave it for Alexander.
And we can bring our questions to our meetings, which is fine. But the better way would be is to ask these questions beforehand, because if it's a complicated issue concerning grammar, it might take a while to to refresh or to even learn anything, because there are many rules, and I don't like those.
Okay, then it was a real pleasure to meet you all. I think we had a very nice chat here.
Yeah.
And I wish you a happy new year and enjoy the rest of the holidays, those who have some. And yeah.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Мам, такой у тебя маленький компьютер. Мам, это компьютер такой?
Да.
Маленький?
Да.
Да.